Kick it off with John. He goes, I'm on the Metro after leaving the game in DC. The Padres sure have the Nationals number. Washington had just swept the Reds before the Padres visited. Bet the Padres wish they could face Washington's pitching every day, and the Nats are glad they won't see the Padres until next season.
Dylan Cease, just absolutely amazing. I mean, what he has accomplished now in this last 3 starts, one hitter, no hitter, and just dominant, just phenomenally dominant. 30 strikeouts, 2 hits allowed in his last 30 innings. I mean, that's just phenomenal. And he had to talk his way into the 8th inning, and in the 9th inning, he had to tell Mike Schilt, I am staying in this damn game. And Schilt let him do it, and he got through the 8th, and then he breezed through the 9th. I wondered in that 9th inning if somebody's going to lay a bunt down and try to break up the no-hitter by making somebody come off the mound and throw the ball out.
Yeah, what was that? That was Kurt Schilling and Ben Davis. Wasn't that
way back in the day?
Yeah, and he bunted to break up a no hitter. Is that Bush League? And I thought it was great.
Yeah, it broke the code.
Screw the code. And it's not just Dylan Cease. I mean, Randy Vasquez pitched really well.
Padres have gotten 4 great starts in a row. Now,
yeah,
who are they doing it against?
But still, it's not like they're playing the Marlins or the White Sox. I mean, the Nationals are
close to that.
They're in the mix for the wild card. So you got to give it up. Props to the Padres.
I will say this: John is from the District of Columbia. Riley and I have talked back and forth about the city current uniforms and how I dislike a large number of them. I think the Padres uniforms with all the colors, the rainbow sherbet uniform, as I call it, it's grown on me. Washington's city current jersey today they wore was really cool. It's got the silhouette of the Capitol, and the block W on it. I thought that was pretty cool. I can't stand Pittsburgh's uniforms, Cleveland's uniforms. I hate the Dodgers city current jersey. I don't freaking understand half the uniforms and why they design them that way. If you got a logo that fits, something historical that defines your city, like the wife is a pirate fan.
Mm-hmm.
What's the logo? The old pirate head?
Oh, yeah.
The Jolly Roger?
Yeah.
Why is that not your city current uniform logo? You wear it on the breast pocket. Big picture of the old Jolly Roger Buccaneer. Why would you not have that rather than PGH?
I like it. I mean, these City Connect jerseys just give you a different view. And granted, it is all marketing. I mean, they just want to sell jerseys and sell all this other stuff. Now, the Nationals, I'm trying to remember the uniform they were wearing today. Is it the gray one? It had the cherry blossoms on it too?
No, it's a white one with colored sleeves, and it just had the nation's capital, the silhouette of the Capitol building.
That's cool. That's cool. I mean, there's a lot of chaos going in that Capitol building, but that's good. I mean, I like it when cities and their name reflect the city. Like, why in the hell are pirates in Pittsburgh? I mean, there's no, pirate ships that are going down the Allegheny.
Were you there? Did you know? Can you verify that?
I don't know. I mean, but I think they just picked the pirates because it starts with a P and you get the alliteration. The Nationals. It's class. It's a good looking jersey.
We move on.
Let's go here to Robert. Where is it? There he is. Robert says, hi, Lee, big fan since 690. With all the hard throwers ending up on the DL, wouldn't it be advisable to listen to Norm Sherry's comment back in 1961 to a Jewish left-hander? Control over speed.
He's talking about Norm Sherry talking to Sandy Koufax. Sandy Koufax, of course, had elbow problems, arthritis, and he just walked away from baseball after 9 years, maybe 5 of the most dominant years, 6 of the most dominant years we ever saw, and he walked away from baseball. And, we talked in our headline segment, Dodgers just lost another pitcher, Landon Knack, one of the really big physical throwers. He's having elbow surgery. John, he is the 50th pitcher since spring training, major league and top prospect. 50 have undergone the surgery this season since the end of February.
It's an epidemic. We covered that before. That's incredible. By the way, I love seeing a guy named Knack as a pitcher. I just think of My Sharona back in the late 70s.
Don't do this cultural junk on me.
I won't. All right. Let's go here to Jason. Hey, great decision, Schilt, unlike Tingler, who pulled Blake Snell when he was in the same position a few years ago.
Well, you got to make a tough call on how many pitchers you're going to let your guy throw, especially if he's a real power ball guy, and both Snell and Cesar. Had he walked a batter, I think in the 8th, had he had a stressful 8 or 9 pitch batter, he probably would have pulled him. If he'd given up a hit, I definitely would have pulled him because as tough a competitor as Cease is, and he does throw a lot of pitches, and he's such a power guy. Once you get beyond 104, 105, that's a gray area you don't want to go into very often. And I think he wound up either 110 or 112, which is probably the max limit. But he coasted in the 8th, and there was no stressful at bat, and he buzzed through the 9th pretty quickly. Again, it was against a AAA lineup, but at the end of the day, boys, he strung together 3 phenomenal starts in a row.
Oh, it's great. And I think for the players in the clubhouse, this has to be a galvanizing moment, a lot of positive energy. And then having your guy being a tough guy and saying, no, damn it, I'm going back out there on the mound and I'm going to get this thing. So they're on a 5-game winning streak right now. So hopefully they can keep it going. Where are they going next?
Baltimore.
Oh, that's right. Baltimore.
First place Orioles, then home, first place Dodgers. Like
Yeah.
I said, the next 6 or 7 days will probably define how good they're going to be in terms of setting the table for the playoff race.
Well, no doubt. Yeah, it'll be a good measuring stick. Hey, did you see that bobble that Xander Bogaerts made that Merrill ended up catching?
Yeah.
That was something. That was special. Just little things like that in no-hitters are always great.
And what he did in the 8th inning with the ball he knocked down, and I didn't know if he was going to be able to grab it like a bar of soap, and he still made the play and got the guy out by the snap of the fingers.
But that would have been an error, not a hit, right? Right?
Well, the ball was hit hard. Okay, we move on.
Let's go to Angel. Hey, he says the break has helped the Dodgers a lot, and a big test tonight with Kershaw returning the Dodgers should be okay.
It's a little too early. I got to believe Kershaw is going to be on a pitch count. If he has any stressful innings where he's going to have, if he has to throw 25 or 30 pitches in an inning, they're not going to keep him out there very long. I think they're going to babysit him through the first couple of starts. But obviously, the mileage they've gotten out of some of their kid pitchers has been pretty impressive. And they're getting guys back. Now Buehler has just been sent to Oklahoma City. Graterol was sent to Oklahoma City. These guys are all in rehab assignments. Joe Kelly was just activated. So they're getting some of these guys back, and only time will tell. But Glasnow pitched well against San Francisco till the bullpen imploded at the end. So we still got 50 games, 55 games left. Still a lot of baseball to be played. Dodgers have got to get this rotation back in order. And they got rid of James Paxton, which kind of shocked everybody. But if they DFA'd Paxton after he won his last start, he was 8-2. But if you do a deep dive into his statistics, his ERA was like 4.43. He walked a lot of batters, a lot of hard hit balls. So all the analytics said this guy's living on borrowed time. And now they swallowed $13 million because he reached all of his incentive clauses because he pitched so well the first half of the season, in terms of innings, number of starts, what his record was. So they're eating $13 million. And now they put a DFA'd him, which meant they have 10 days to either trade him or release him. He's not going to the minors. I hear he's going to Boston, and the Red Sox are going to send something to the Dodgers, a young prospect or something, because Boston's desperately trying to stay in the race. But at the end of the day, these were not what I'd call quality starts. They were kind of, can I survive into the 5th inning and walk a lot of guys? And they're hitting rocket shots off me. And yeah, I'm 8-2 because thank you, Ohtani and Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts. So I was a little surprised they moved him, but they obviously know where their other pitchers are in terms of on the rehab road back.
I agree with the Paxton thing. When he was doing so well, I was like, how in the hell is this happening? I didn't expect it. But let's just take a snapshot right now in time. What is the Dodgers starting rotation?
You would ask me that off the top of my head.
Well, you know everything.
Well, I know everything, but my brain's a little fried right now.
Well, so there's Kershaw, and who? I mean, because and then is Glasnow back?
Glasnow pitched last night.
Yeah.
So that's one.
Yeah.
Kershaw kind of becomes 1A.
Yeah.
Okay. Yamamoto is about to go on rehab, but that could be 2 or 3 starts before he gets back. And then, just whatever kid pitchers available, they keep bringing them up and back from Oklahoma City just to try to hang in there. So,
Well, one of them's done really well. Is it Gavin Stone? Is that the one?
he's 9-3.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
there's
nobody expected that. I don't think they expected that, and yet he's hung in there. But he's kind of hitting a wall in terms of innings and pitches thrown. So I don't know what the last 5 weeks of the season for Gavin Stone are going to be like.
Yeah. So imagine how these next 2 months are going to unfold for the Dodgers. I mean, they're counting on these guys coming back, but they may not be, functional. I mean, it still could be a cluster in September for the Dodgers pitching.
Even if they trade for Derek Skubal, the ace of the Detroit Tigers pitching staff,
that could change things.
Things are going to change between now and Tuesday for a couple of these pennant contenders.
Right.
Now, I don't know who's the first one that dives into the water. The Orioles are after Skubal. The Yankees are after Skubal. The Dodgers are talking to a lot of people about a lot of different people, but they're after Skubal. Somebody's going to get the Detroit Tiger ace, and that's going to set off all types of chain reaction, other deals pretty doggone quickly. I think there'll be an additional name arm in the Dodger rotation by the time we have breakfast on Wednesday.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, the Dodgers are all in this year. Win now.
How dare you agree with me from left field? Next question.
Okay, let's go down here to Chris. Oh, no, let's go to Greg first. And Greg says, Lee, what do you remember as the main weakness the Chargers had in that Super Bowl against the Niners?
Steve Young.
Yeah.
It was interesting because that was such a devastating loss the way it occurred. Steve Young threw 6 touchdown passes. First 2 possessions, San Francisco scored 2 touchdowns on bombs in the first 6 plays of the game. And I'll never forget, Bobby Ross told me a couple days after we got back from the Super Bowl, he said, we thought we had diagnosed everything they were going to do. They went back on video in the 2 weeks leading up to Super Bowl Sunday after the Chargers had beaten the Steelers in Pittsburgh AFC Championship game. They reviewed 18 49er games, 18 different 49er games over 2 years. And they charted every formation and every tendency they had. That's why they have computers. These guys behind the scenes, they work on us all the time. And Bobby said, we charted every formation the 49ers used over 18 games over a 2-year period. And they went into that game and they saw 6 formations in the first 2 possessions they'd never seen. Touchdown pass, touchdown pass. They'd lined up Jerry Rice as a running back. They lined up Brent Jones as a fullback. He was a star tight end. Mm-hmm. They ran Ricky Waters, the running back, out as a slot receiver. And I'll never forget, I think it was the 3rd play of the game. And they come to the line of scrimmage, and I'm calling the play, and I see Ricky Waters in the slot. I identified him with his number, 32. I see Jerry Rice line up as an I-back. And I'll never forget looking at the line of scrimmage as Young is going through his pre-snap reads, and I see Junior Seau turning and trying to relocate the secondary because of the formation.
Yeah.
They had never seen this. And Young takes 3 steps back, throws a slant pass, touchdown San Francisco. Jerry Rice just boom, boom. And the Chargers secondary was just paralyzed. And they got hit by a bolt of lightning. Next possession, exact same thing happened. They ran more stuff they had never shown before. They gave up another touchdown pass. So now it's 14-0, just like that. And they kick off to us, and our kick return guy, I don't know if it was Darian Gordon, kid out of Stanford, took it back for a touchdown, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I said, okay, we're back in the game. No, not. Kickoff, they take it back for a touchdown. Game over. And poor Stan Humphries, they were running uphill the rest of the night, and they moved the ball some with Natron Means. They ran it, and I said, okay, they're going to be back in the game. But you got to score touchdowns, and they were settling for field goals. And then guys were wide open. He threw a touchdown pass to a wide receiver, Mark Say, wide open, dropped it. They just lost opportunities, and it was going to be a shootout, and they couldn't stay in the shootout. And at the end of the day, it was 49-26. So it's weird. I think back to that. I wish I don't have a copy. I've told John the story. I don't have a copy of that game on video. I taped it at home. My wife taped it at home, and I didn't want to watch it. So finally, in late February on a rainy Sunday night, I'm going to pop this thing in. I want to see this because I'm big on looking at formations and how the hell did this play develop. And I taped it. I punched it up to watch it, and I didn't get the Super Bowl game because my kids had recorded Sesame Street over the Super Bowl game. So I've never seen the full video of the game, but that's how the Bolts got beat. Washington was freaking brilliant, and NFL Films, they taped the game. They taped the play-by-play of the local broadcasters. And I said in the fourth quarter of that game, when it was just totally out of control, I turned to my broadcast partners, Jim Laslovic and Pat Curran, and said, you know what? If I wasn't the voice of the Chargers, I could really enjoy this game, because that's one of the greatest offenses of all time I've ever seen. And NFL Films took that quote and put it into the Super Bowl highlights. So it was really funny. So it was a tough night at the office, tough game. I'm going to have to go back. I have to find the video of the game so I can look at how it developed. It's just those things flashed into my mind when Greg just brought that up. What do you remember? I remember how the utter confusion in the back of the minds of these guys in the secondary, and how they got hit by a bolt of lightning, and they just emotionally just were not the same team after that. And Steve Young was brilliant.
It was an incredible game. And just everything leading up to the Super Bowl in San Diego, the energy around the Chargers, the Pittsburgh game. I mean, there were so many great moments.
The party in the rain at the stadium after that game on late Sunday night. Oh, it was so cool.
But it's just so San Diego. It's like when the Chargers finally get to the Super Bowl, they run into a buzzsaw of the Niners on one of their best years ever. Same thing happened to the Padres with the 84 Tigers and the 98 Yankees. Yep. So it's just, and then, San Diego State, gets dumped in the NCAA championship game, or gets that fake flop, from Kemba Walker in the Sweet 16.
I'm glad you don't hold any grudges.
There's just all the San Diego sports curses. And it's just, I just want to live and enjoy a major sports championship here in San Diego before I die.
Okay. Well, I always tell people, and people always bring it up to me about the Super Bowl run with the Bolts and how good it was. And I said, yeah, the game was the game, and that was a tough night at the office. But the journey to get to the Super Bowl. And John and I have done a special podcast, and we're going to run it during the football season, about that mystical, magical San Diego Chargers season, because there's a lot of cool storylines that probably people have forgotten, that Voice of the Chargers hasn't forgotten. And it makes all the ache and the pain of what happened on Super Bowl Sunday go away, because then you think about all the really cool things that happened, especially in Pittsburgh. And my wife would not talk to me when I got home. She's a Steeler fan. It's just unbelievable.
Three River Stadium.
Yes.
On the AstroTurf. I can just still see the visual of the turf in that stadium.
And the terrible towels.
And
the jaw. Bill Cowher just looking like he'd kill somebody out there.
Yeah, and Pupino with the coconut in the touchdown.
After the game-winning touchdown.
Yeah, that was terrific.
So, like I said, it brought a smile back to your face, despite what Steve Young did on Super Bowl Sunday night. Next question.
Okay, let's go to Chris. Saw unbelievable comments by Colin Cowherd this morning. Was talking about the Chargers this upcoming season, and I quote, "Complain all you want, but they have a pretty solid ownership. Incendiary opinion, react."
Cancel his show. God, what's he talking about? What's he been drinking? I mean, everybody's excited about the arrival of Harbaugh, and rightfully so. That's what his resume says, success everywhere. But getting from point A, I'm here and this is my resume, to point B, we're going to be a playoff team or maybe a Super Bowl team, that's a long distance. They just have a lot of questions that need to be answered. It obviously starts with the skill people around a really good quarterback in Justin Herbert. And it revolves around, you guys haven't shown any degree of toughness defensively, and you fired your top 3 defensive tackles. What do you got to replace them? So there's a bunch of questions that need to be in. Ownership, my God, please don't bring up the word ownership as it relates to they got anything to do. They finally made a decision, and they paid an enormous amount of money to get a really, really good coach. Are they a playoff team, ready to be a playoff team? That's what 7 weeks of training camp and the start of the regular season is going to show us.
Colin Cowherd. When I think of him, I remember he made a comment a number of years ago. He goes, yeah, MLB is like a regional sport. Everyone cares about the Red Sox, Yankees, maybe the Cubs, Dodgers, but everything else is just regional. We care about the teams in the big markets. Well, now he's pumping up the Chargers. So I wonder it's because they're playing in LA. What do you think?
Yeah, it could be, but Dodgers, they're drawing $4 million every season. Hey, dude, you ever been Petco Park and see what this experience has now become in the Gaslamp Quarter? Colin Cowherd, just muzzle yourself, please.
He's been making some political posts, some videos as well.
Oh, him and Stephen A. Smith just driving me out of my mind. But that's okay because I've done some of that. I've written some one man's opinion columns that weren't very well received, including people in this room. But go ahead.
Okay, let's go to the next guy here. Yin says, come to the CFL, Bill. Job opening in Edmonton as head coach.
Well, thank you on the O Canada Network for Edmonton Eskimos. Once upon a time, and now they're the Edmonton Elks. They were a really good franchise and have gone through some really tough times. But it's no different in Canada than it is down here. If you don't have quarterbacks, your franchise is in big trouble. And Edmonton went through a bad stretch where they didn't have quarterbacks. I want to say I don't know if the number is correct in my brain, but I want to say they lost maybe 15 home games in a row over a couple of years span. Yeah, they've been really, really down. And they were more competitive last year. But you got to have QBs. You got to keep your quarterbacks healthy. And that's a big issue in the Canadian League. And I don't understand the whole rationale. There's so many quarterbacks this side of the border and why you can't lure some of them there. But all these guys think, well, I'm going to be a third quarterback and I'm going to be on the developmental squad. You're probably never going to get a chance to play. And yeah, you make a little bit more money on the developmental than you would in Canada. But geez, what Doug Flutie did, what Joe Theismann did, what Warren Moon did, going to Canada and the success they had. I mean, it's out there and it's an opportunity. And some guys go up there and they just love it. They never, ever come back. But got to have a quarterback in Canada. And the Edmonton Elks, strange name. They don't, that was a political thing. We can't have them called the Eskimos anymore. They've been called the Eskimos since the 1920s when it was a rugby team. Mm-hmm. You got to have a quarterback in the CFL.
You can imagine Bill Belichick in the CFL with all those different rules. Would that be like a personal challenge that he would embrace, or do you think it would just overwhelm him?
Pay me the money. He's an NFL coach. He's not going up there.
Yeah, I know.
It's nobody goes up there.
But so that it was a politically correct thing, like the Cleveland Indians changing their name of the Redskins. Yeah.
It made no sense to me at all because there was heritage, there was legacy there. It's Edmonton Eskimos.
Yeah, well, sooner or later they're going to come down on the Oilers too, right? Because people are fossil fuel and they're all upset about that. All right, let's move on. Let's go to Manny. He says, will WBD take the NBA to court for the last TV rights package? Who will win? And why did the NBA pick Amazon over WBD?
Potential. Whole world's on streaming. Young world is on streaming. They believe that's where the money is. I mean, the price tag, I think Amazon paid $1.8 billion of the 3 contracts they signed with ESPN, NBC. That was the lowest tiered. But as Charles Barkley would say, dude, read the fine print. You don't have the right to match something creatively done. It's like the NFL and the antitrust lawsuit. We have the right to creatively put together unique and different packaging. And that's why Sunday Ticket became a big issue, and that's why they were in court over that. I don't know. The fine print said over-the-air broadcasting. Well, this is not over-the-air. This is streaming. Sir Charles, read the damn fine print.
Yeah, read the fine print. But I've got to believe that Ernie Johnson and all those guys, they're going to move over there.
I concur.
Yeah, they absolutely have to, because everyone loves all 4 of those guys for different reasons. So we'll see how this plays out. But, I'm generally a proponent of all this going to streaming because I think it gives us options and we don't necessarily have to sign up for the $200 a month cable, bundle. But I will say this, though, it's just like a week ago, the Padres had a game on Apple TV, and that was kind of a curveball for a lot of the fans.
Yeah, a lot of people were walking around pissed off. They wanted to see that. It was a noontime game, wasn't it? Or 1 o'clock game? Or no, it was a game in Cleveland.
Yeah, I think was it the Friday night game or the Saturday? I don't remember, but it is difficult. We're in this transition right now, going from we were a rabbit ear, then cable, now it's streaming, and it's all fragmented.
And you got to subscribe to a lot of the streaming stuff.
But if you, this is my contention, if you a la carte all of those different packages, you're going to still spend way less than you would on a cable TV bundle.
Okay, this guy's anti-cable now. Thank you. Cox Cable is going to turn all the lights out of here pretty damn quick. Move on.
Moving on. Okay, yeah, let's go to Steve here. It says, bring back the out-of-town scoreboard.
Well, we've done a lot of different things. We've created a lot of different things. On the out-of-town scoreboard, our podcast is really damn successful. Thank you very much.
Yeah, here, Mayor says, best show in sports. They love you, Lee.
It's cool. I mean, we've come across something that's really unique. And developing the fans forum concept, I think, has been just a bonanza for us because it's like talk radio. You get the chance to express an opinion, write an opinion, have me yell at you if you want. I won't hang up on you, but I'll tell you you're full of crap, but that's okay. The fans forum concept is really, really different. And this guys work really hard to make sure we stay on the air. We don't have blips that knock us off the air. We've had only, knock on wood, I think we've only had 2 or 3 episodes that got fragmented because of something happened technically.
Yeah, I think we're doing okay there,
Knock on wood.
Knock on wood. All right, let's go to social media here. Talking a little bit about the Yankees and why people hate them. This is from Spades Wolf. I don't hate the Yankees. I think the Dodgers are just as detested as the Yankees. 2 teams with great storied histories from 2 of the biggest, most popular cities.
Budget is not a problem. Not in LA and not in New York, and that's probably why. But I'd love to see Major League Baseball change the structure of salary revenue sharing. I mean, if we could have everybody operating with fairly same budgets, you'd have a great product. That's what's made the National Football League such a raging success, is the competitive balance and the revenue sharing. Now, you still got to make the right decision on the quarterback, and you need to hope you don't lose people because of catastrophic injuries. But baseball's not done that. And I think the NBA's got a problem, John. I just don't think it's good to have 5 franchises at the top who can spend and spend and spend because they're in the big markets, and you have 25 franchises that can't compete because they don't have that type of resource in Pittsburgh or Kansas City or Detroit or Baltimore. I don't think that's good for the game. And I know that you're a damn capitalist and you should make as much as you can make. But I also think the overall health of the game is really, really important. And it's worked in the NFL. It should work in baseball. It's definitely worked in the National Hockey League and the NBA too, with their hard caps now and everything that's been put into effect in the last 3 years in basketball. Baseball needs to do a better job to make more money available. By the way, there's a side story. I meant to mention this. It just broke within the hour when we were coming on the air. As we're aware in baseball, these franchises that have been really impacted and hurt by the death of regional sports broadcasts, the collapse of Bally, the collapse of Diamond Sports. Baseball in the union, 24 hours ago after negotiations, has agreed to take a large chunk of the money that's paid by the big cities in luxury tax, to take the Yankee luxury tax money, the Dodger luxury tax, the Red Sox, whoever's over the tax limit, to take that money, that pool, and distribute it to the teams that have been hurt by the collapse of Diamond Sports, Ballet Sports, etc.
Okay.
That includes the Padres, the Rockies, the Pirates, Texas, Kansas City, Houston so far. Every team is going to get a $15 million payment out of the tax pool. Every team will get that has been damaged. So that, the Padres lost their $40 million a year TV package. Well, they're going to get $15 million every year from baseball until something changes with the structure of the telecast. So that's good. And right now, I think there's 5 to 6 teams that are going to get the instant $15 million payment. And if Diamond Sports completely goes away, other clubs that are damaged are going to be eligible for that payment too. So that's a different form of revenue share, but I think it's a positive.
That's interesting. I mean, that's not a bad idea there. A good solution there to fix a problem. But I just want to comment here on the Yankees and people hating the Yankees. I mean, even if you had a revenue share deal, people are still going to hate the Yankees. And my belief is that there are some people in America that hate winners, and it doesn't matter if it's the Yankees or the Patriots or the 49ers or the Lakers. If they're a winning team and they're dominant, people want to see them lose. They want to tear them down. And we even see that in the world of business as well. So I think it's just haters love to hate, and that's what you're seeing here.
Okay, we move on. We got a lot of good social media comments here. Go ahead, John, fire away.
Let's go Dodgers here. This is from Oscar. Hey, Lee, a lot of decisions and losing had to go to Dave Roberts. To me, he has no strategy and relies on analytics. They had an infield that played together for 8 years and an outfield with 30 home runs each, and he sticks with his guys. Roberts pulls players out and replaces players that can't produce. It's about time the Dodgers fire Dave Roberts.
The most amazing thing to me last Sunday, the LA Times, unfortunately, the Union Tribune doesn't. LA Times still has a letters to the editor page on Sunday. And I read 8 straight letters to the editor, negative, about Dave Roberts. Dave's got one more year to go in his current contract. First place Dodgers. 8 division titles in a row Dodgers. Been to the World Series Dodgers. And they want this guy out. Now, they've been beset by unbelievable injuries. As I say, as of today, with Landon Knack undergoing elbow surgery, they now have had 17 pitchers on the DL. And where's Dave Roberts' team in the standings?
First place.
First place. So I don't quite understand and buy it. Does he accede to the wishes of the people upstairs, the analytics guy? Yeah, but that's happened in a lot of places in Major League Baseball. Maybe it's an uncomfortable comfort zone that these guys have to operate in. I still think he's a good manager. I think he runs a really good clubhouse. I think, when you get big money and everybody's making the kind of bank players are making, you get into egos and you get into conflicts and you get into agendas and you get into attitudes. Just ask the Padres clubhouse the last couple of years. You don't hear any, see any of that. Dave Roberts, I think, pleases the clubhouse. So at the end of the day, Oscar, I don't quite agree with you. And for them to finish in first place this year with 17 pitchers on the DL, nobody could survive that. And yet the Dodgers are still in first place.
I love seeing the Dodgers choke in the playoffs. That's very entertaining for me as a kid who grew up a Giants fan and is now a Padre fan. But firing Dave Roberts now would be worse than the Chargers firing Marty Schottenheimer. Wouldn't you agree?
Probably pretty damn close.
Yeah.
And that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Because the decisions are coming. I really believe decisions are coming from upstairs. I think the analytics people send down those 2 sheets. They inform him that they want, and the batting order has been rock solid at the top, and they're trying to fix the bottom of the batting order. But the decision is, this is the first guy we recommend you take out of the bullpen. And if you got a closer situation, these are the analytic matchups when it's this left-hander versus left-handed batters. And he's got to have all that data, and he understands what they want upstairs. Sometimes it works, sometimes it does not work. Sometimes it works despite the fact analytics guy might be wrong because they got great players with a high payroll. So,
but that's what AJ Preller was doing with the Padres, right? And his staff was, but for when the Padres do it, it's meddling. But when the Dodgers do it, well, they're a first-class organization.
And they're in first place.
Okay.
There's a big issue. So they're telling Bob Melvin, we want this and this and that, and it's not working out. So, tough call. Sorry, Oscar. I don't buy this social media message. They're not going to fire Dave Roberts.
Yeah, no way. Okay, let's go here. Let's talk a little Rams and Chargers. This is from Conrad. Jared Verse and Brandon Fisk from Florida State was an unbelievable pick by the Rams. The Rams defense will be solid. Hope it'll be enough to topple San Francisco for the NFC West. As for the other team, if Jim Harbaugh can get them to win, no one can. But I think Harbaugh can do it.
Harbaugh needs players. He's going to need some time. We're not going to start ordering Super Bowl tickets this season because I don't think he's got the roster. You go back and look at the Rams. Super Bowl early under Sean McVay. Fell down because of injuries. Their last 2 drafts have really been good. They drafted a whole offensive line last year, and they virtually all played, and nobody got hurt, which is kind of unique. They went in, got defensive end, defensive tackle. There is no Aaron Donald. They're going to be a very different team that kind of rebuilt the secondary. If this cornerback, who they got from Buffalo, Trey White, can come back from the Achilles injury and be what he was with the Bills, boy, that they're going to be really good defensively. Because I agree with you. What they got out of Florida State at the top of the draft, boy, those guys are going to play immediately. Can they stay healthy? Remains to be seen. Can the offensive linemen not have any setback physically to protect Matthew Stafford? Obviously, they think they've got the right running backs now with the Notre Dame kid, Kyron Williams, and with Blake Corum, who did really a lot of diverse things in the minicamp. So I think the Rams are pretty good. I think the Chargers, a year from today, will have a much better sense how close they are to being a really good playoff team, as long as they keep Herbert healthy. But they got to be able to run it, and they got to replace all these guys at wide receiver that they let go. So there's huge question marks at their camp in El Segundo.
What was the regular season record for both of these teams last year?
Rams made the playoffs, won a distance with Stafford. Did they win 12 games in the regular season? I don't know. The Chargers were 5-12, and that was a disaster. They never recovered from the terrible beatdown they took at the hands of the Raiders. It was a 62-21.
That was a brutal one. Oh. You still get people on social media zinging you on that one. But the Rams, we thought they were going to have a lot of trouble last year.
We
And
thought it was transition year.
yeah, and they exceeded expectations.
They drafted a stud guard who I thought was really good, Steve Avila. He's going to be their starting center. He's so good. They moved him in immediately this year. He played played every snap last season.
Wow.
And they right guys, right time, and a right amount of luck. Nobody got hurt. So I think the Rams are going to be fascinating. And of course, it's a tough ass division with San Francisco. But is San Francisco going to implode because of all these? I want my money now. That's an issue with what's going on in San Francisco with the quarterback and with the wide receivers. Next question.
All right, let's talk Padre baseball with Ball 7906. Hacksaw, love you, but you don't seem to understand. The Padres are not even in playoff position. They're 52-50 and going absolutely nowhere. Side note, this was written in social media a few days ago, except perhaps 6th wild card if everything goes right. Why give up prospects for that? They should be sellers. Fire AJ and rebuild.
That's a reach. I mean, you're committed to such big money contracts, Paul, and that's the big issue. Is they got guys they can't trade. Now, those guys are their core players. And they've strip mined the farm system for a third time. There's not much left out there that they can move. But if they did not have injuries at the front end of the rotation, this might be a very different storyline. We might be talking about a real dogfight with the Dodgers. And, but you can also come back at me and say, hey, dumbass, the Dodgers has 17 pitchers on the DL you just told us about, and they're still in first place. So don't use the injuries to the Padres pitching staff to explain why they're in second place. But they might be a wild card team. The proof in the pudding is how healthy are they when they get to the wild card, and can they cause some damage and go a couple rounds in? That's the whole key. I don't know that they can, because it does not look like Darvish is coming back, and Musgrove is so far behind the curve now. I mean, he's got to go through all the rehab and make sure he can pitch. And then how's he going to pitch when he comes out of the rehab? And is he going to hold up without another setback? So Padres might be a periphery wild card team. The Dodgers are the real deal because they got all their stars.
You know how people often say, well, every team's going to win 50 and lose 50. And that's what the Padres were. They were 50-50 after 100 games.
But with a $161 million payroll, it shouldn't be like that.
No, it shouldn't.
But they got the injury issue.
But, I just got to give a shout out. Jay Cronenworth is a really special player.
Oh, scrapper.
Oh, and he's just so versatile. He's got the right mindset. He has the big hits when he needs them. And to think that he was a throw-in in that Tommy Pham Hunter Renfroe trade, he has just been terrific. Huge props for that guy.
It just might well be AJ's boots on the ground. He's got scouts everywhere. He's probably got a scout behind that curtain. I mean, their ability to sight and scope guys and say, this guy has the potential to make himself a really good player. Because the problem is that AJ's got this addictiveness to trading, and he just keeps trading prospects all the time.
Donovan Solano is going to be a good trade chip for him, don't you think?
I think that they've found some guys. They've rented some guys, and rental guys are difference makers over the course of 162 games. Solano is a lifetime utility guy. He's been with 9 teams. David Peralta, now he started to finally hit after having really struggled. Those are the kind of guys that can make a difference over a grind of 162 games. I mean, Kyle Higashioka, the catcher from the Yankees, like, damn, I bet the Yankees wish they had him back. He's not going to play 150 games for you, but boy, has he been productive behind the plate. And obviously he's hit home runs. And those 3 guys that I just mentioned, they've all been, quote, plug-in difference makers. That's what you need to have a really good team.
Higashioka was hitting like under 100
like
in April. And we were like, oh my God, who did Preller trade for? And there's something very unassuming about Higashioka. He's not like this tough guy, this, flamboyant guy. He's just sort of a mild-mannered dude. And yeah, he can hit bombs. And
he's productive in lots of different ways.
And his defense is better than Campusano's.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, what a find in that deal.
So, I mean, if this becomes a playoff team and they go a round or 2 into the playoffs, you say, well, it wasn't just the stars, it was these plug-in guys. I mean, Walden, that's why I go back and talked about Ruben Niebla. Mm-hmm. And these plug-in guys, the guys on the pitching staff that Niebla has helped form, it's just phenomenal.
Well, go back to the Juan Soto deal. Okay, you end up getting
Soto and Josh Bell.
Right. Yeah, well, no. I'm talking about when Soto went to the Yankees.
Oh, okay.
Okay, because we got Higashioka, who's been productive. We got Vasquez, who's figured it out. Michael King, who is a stud. Okay,
And Brito, who's hurt.
Brito's hurt, and then we had the
you got
Drew
Drew
Thorpe,
Thorpe.
which turned into Dylan Cease.
Yeah, he went to Chicago as part of that multiplayer deal. And
So
he's
that
really
deal-
talented to be delivered a year from now, although he's pitched to the major leagues and has hung in there as a kid.
So that haul back from the Yankees, that's turned out to be a lot better than I think we expected.
And Niebla figured out what Cease was doing wrong. And Cease looks so different now than he did early on when you'd watch. I heard you cursing into your cell phone when he was throwing home run balls and walking batters, and the strike zone was moving on him all the way. And they, Niebla to me is an MVP candidate for how he's created all the stuff with the pitching staff.
Padres have had a good history of pitching coaches, haven't they?
Yeah. And there've been a couple that have been here that I thought were really good and not here, not in baseball anymore. But so what Niebla has accomplished has really been special. A couple more here on social media.
Okay, we got some more Yankees, haters on here. This is from V Tiger. Because I have never forgiven the Yankees for ruining the 1976 and 1977 World Series by just being there.
The fact is, and maybe it's got more to do with who owns them. Steinbrenner, all his money, all his bombastic tendencies, how he treated people, Billy Martin, all that. Or maybe it goes even farther back when the Yankees had the greatest farm system of all, is called the Chain Gang, and Mantle and Maris and Whitey Ford and Yogi. I mean, the legacy of Yankee baseball, of course, it even goes farther back to the Bambino in the 1920s. So, yeah, there's a lot of years of dislike, but organizationally, it's been one of the best-run organizations, most successful organizations in a long time. Steinbrenner personality notwithstanding.
Back in that era, I was a little kid, and when the Oakland A's won 3 World Series in a row in the early 70s, and I was still a young lad. I was barely watching TV, but I remember I watched the Red Sox Reds in 75, and that was a huge World Series. I indelibly marked in my mind.
That was a Carlton Fisk World Series.
Yeah. And that's my stepfather bought a color TV for our family, and my mom was so angry at him for doing it, but we got to watch the World Series in color. But then right after that, it was the Yankees Dodgers. And that was Reggie hitting the 3 home runs in the World Series. But the AL playoffs leading up to that, the Royals were a really competitive team then in the late 70s. And those playoff games were terrific.
Yeah, the Dennis Leonards of the world and all the great players that Kansas City had for a small fragment of time.
Chambliss was there for a while, and Cookie Rojas, and there were a lot of good players on that. Oh, Hal McRae and George Brett.
Yep, very, very good baseball for a short period of time. But the Yankees have been so dominant for so long,
yeah.
and the Dodgers were so great for so long. So that's what makes baseball turn. Couple more here.
Let's talk about the umpires. This is from David. He says, human umps are as much a part of the game as the players themselves. Sometimes you get the call, sometimes they get the call. Also, multiple stoppages to play for reviews is counter to all of their recent efforts to speed up the game. No thanks.
Well, if you're only giving the managers 3 challenges next season, that won't be a lot of interruptions. They'll save all those challenges for the most important inning, big rally inning, end of the game inning. They're not going to do it in the first and third inning. Now, how many challenges? Is it going to be 3? I'd project maybe 5. I think the umps' jobs are really hard because these pitchers out there are throwing such wicked stuff now with ball movement. It's tough. And then when you got catchers who are moving around that box and trying to screen pitches, it's really hard. I still think the human element should be there. I wish the umpiring was more consistent. The freaking strike zones just keep changing, which has been a real problem. I apologize if you're an Angel Hernandez fan, but that's the reason we're going to wind up with computers calling balls and strikes. But I don't think they're going to take over the whole game. I think it'll be use of computers, human element stays. You get 3 challenges or maybe 5 challenges a game. And I don't think the delays are going to be long withstanding. That's the perspective I'd sure like to see be developed.
Yeah, this was weird because in the beginning, I agreed with David. I used to think, it's part of the artistry of baseball, the imperfections are what makes baseball beautiful, like artwork. And I was wrong, you got to get the call right, and so these Angel Hernandez's and, human element, I think it's great if you can get the robo ump. the computerized balls and strikes, but I don't like 3 or 5 challenges from the manager who's going to have to challenge from the dugout who doesn't really get a good view. So I've seen the system work in the minor leagues where the player gets the ability to appeal, and they can just tell the ump looks back, and then he gets a call right back, like boom, boom. There's no delay. I think that's how it should work.
Players in the minor leagues don't like it. They still think this is too many interferences. And I can't see somebody taking control at home plate instead of having Mike Schilt make that decision. I don't think that's going to work.
Yeah.
So we're going to find out, because there will be instant replay challenges on balls and strikes, but there'll be a minuscule amount. And I don't think the number of interruptions are going to be all that great. Hey, listen, we hope you